In today's episode of the Platform Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Sasha Fedkevich. She's heading over as the head of marketing at 1build. And today we're going to be learning what 1build is all about, who they're serving, and how Sasha thinks about growth for the company. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So yeah, give us that overview, that 360 rundown. What is 1build all about?
Absolutely. 1build is actually a Y Combinator 2020 company. We're currently a Series A technology, and we're on a fast track to digitize the construction space, which is traditionally very low on the digital maturity curve compared to some of the other industries out there. So we're truly changing the game for builders with a construction cost estimating platform specifically that provides real-time cost data, localized cost data, on things like construction material and labor for really anybody who builds. So we offer a combination of project estimating and takeoff software tools, along with an access to a marketplace of expert estimators. So builders can really either do their own estimates or outsource their estimates to an expert using our platform.
Very good. Okay, that makes very clear. That means it's who's the actual people that are using and discovering. Probably discovering and using might be even the two different groups. Maybe tell us about the people that are benefiting from 1build.
Yeah, that's right. So we primarily serve the general contractor space, more on the small business side. The residential general contractors are currently our focus because the residential market is booming. There's lots of opportunity, but our customer base really includes commercial builders, subcontractors, and even handyman and homeowners in some cases. So still on the B2B side with a sprinkle of B2C in there as well. The residential markets, obviously, like I said, it's really hot right now, lots of opportunity there. So we're really helping builders estimate projects, the cost of their projects better, especially during the time of inflation like now, where the material prices like lumber and drywall are on the rise, and that changes every day.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Makes a lot of sense. Do you guys have then how should I imagine, is there updated data in there on those type of prices, or how does it work that they can get these very accurate estimates?
That's exactly right. So we provide access to that real-time cost data via our platform, so they can really see the trends for different materials within their specific region. Again, for things like lumber and drywall and many of the other residential and commercial building materials that they're using.
Makes sense. So now, how do these folks hear about 1build? What's the typical journey that they would be going through? In other words, what are sort of the top client acquisition channels that you guys are leveraging?
Yeah, definitely. So at this stage of our growth, our brand is still fairly new to the market. We don't have a lot of awareness compared to some of our competitors. So really, we're leaning into paid social and Google search as really our main source of acquisition and awareness. But at the same time, we're also heavily focused on shifting that narrative more into expanding our organic efforts through SEO, obviously, and building better and more powerful stories through content and through messaging that not only resonates with the buyers, but also resonates with the search engines as well.
Interesting. You mentioned organic there, you mentioned paid acquisition. How do you think about the website? What role does the website play in your mind for 1build?
Yeah, the way I see our website, it's really the business card for our business. It's the face of our business. It's our first impression in a way. So really, it's definitely a place where many of our buyers end up in terms of their journey. They could end up there, really early during the awareness of the journey, or they could be discovering more about the product as they've consumed our content via social media. So really, it's definitely a tool for us where we not only educate the buyers, but at the same time engage them and attempt to capture their interest right there and then, so we can then generate this pool of hand raisers and qualified hand raisers, qualified interest for our sales team.
Interesting. Okay, I see. So looking at the website, you mentioned the different stages actually of the buyer's journey, playing part in the awareness and when they're considering you guys. Like, what do you think is currently sort of a strength in your eyes of the website versus where do you see room for improvement for the website sort of develop it towards there?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the website, it's actually in a really strong place right now. We've massaged our messaging, our value proposition over time. We're testing and experimenting with different value props. So it's in a healthy state. However, again, SEO is probably one of the biggest opportunities for us today. So producing content, not just for the blog, but, externally as well. And basically trying to figure out how do we marry our blog content and thought leadership with product education as well. And how do we make sure that we serve up the right content at the right time to the right user, really, as we try to address a somewhat niche market, but which also has its own nuances. For example, we have contractors who specialize in various trades. So how do we bring that into the website and serve a message just for like a specific trade of a contractor, while also not alienating the rest of the users that are currently browsing the site. So there's a big opportunity there.
It's interesting. I mean, maybe not necessarily in your journey just for 1build, but in your overall journey as a marketer, like what specifically what you were just talking about is like, what have you found to be great ways to figure out why people do or do not convert on the website? Is there any like tools, approaches? You were talking about the messaging, obviously quite a bit. What's something that you typically tend to, go for when improving conversions from the website?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So we have a technology, obviously, that powers some of this monitoring. So we use tools like Hotjar, for example, to understand where people are pausing, what content they're looking at, where are those hot areas of engagement versus cold. So we're able to prioritize and reposition messaging in terms of layout. And again, test different value props and different cost to action, along with, I guess, some of the other tools and technologies that we're leaning into today is, for example, Unbounds, where we're able to test specifically on the paid side, more dynamic content for our paid traffic and serving up dynamic content within landing pages for the keywords that they're actually searching for. So it makes our digital experience much more powerful and increases our conversion rates.
Pretty interesting. Very, very cool. That gives a glimpse, at least, into how you guys are working behind the scenes to improve conversions. Super interesting. I would like to switch gears a little bit and learn a little bit about yourself, Sasha. I mean, because there is a lot of marketing things that we discovered, but also it's great to get to just to know the marketeers a little bit better. So I would have some rapid fire questions. Would you be ready for those?
That sounds great.
Cool. So what is maybe the recent, the last book or podcast that you read or listened to?
Oh boy, this is definitely a good one. So I like to mix up in terms of the content I can consume, everything from growth marketing and growth type of publications and following influencers on growth, like Chris Walker and the team at Refine Labs. Julian Shapiro is a founder of Demand Curve. They have really great topics on growth marketing. And then also Andre and Vladimir at Full Funnel focus on the B2B marketing strategy with some focus on ABM. So those are really the influencers and the thought leading sort of LinkedIn gurus I've been following recently. But in terms of the book that I last read, I do like to listen to audiobooks on brand and storytelling specifically. So I recently finished a book called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And it really teaches us, how to better connect with customers through clear and compelling messaging, and overall how to connect better with our prospects through storytelling.
Cool. What's one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Yeah, so we're actually in a really exciting part of our growth where traditionally, as I mentioned, we've leaned heavily on marketing and sales-led growth for the organization. Um, and then we most recently have been shifting more toward product-led growth strategy, which allows our platform to be at the center of our revenue generation through things like the free trial, collaboration features, and really other ingredients that allow the product to hold its own in terms of growth. Of course, still supported by marketing sales, but that means a lot of different things. So for our marketing strategy, for example, we've been much more focused on testing, learning, like I said, about what messaging is working. We've been leaning heavily more into product education. So something that's traditionally done by, for example, the sales team through demos, we're now transitioning more of that narrative onto marketing and serving up ungated and gated content that really showcases the product earlier in the buying cycle. By the time that the prospect gets into the actual platform from through like a free trial or gets on the phone, for example, with our sales team, they're already familiar with what we do with our value props. So they're really more left to discover the actual product and feature, and the conversation then changes to how these specific features can help solve for a problem. And then, you know, are you interested in purchasing this today?
Yeah, makes complete sense. Super interesting. If there would be no boundaries in technology, everything is possible, you have a magic wand, what's the one thing you would fix for your role today?
Oh boy. Yeah, this is another great one. So, you know, as marketers, we really sometimes wish we had this silver bullet that would just figure it all out. We would have all the data at our fingertips to make the best decisions. There's no such thing that exists, right? And one of the challenges is, you know, as digital channels expand, as innovation happens within social media, for example, the thing like Meta, our buyer journeys become more and more complex, and understanding how they consume content, what they consume, at what point, you know, they took an action XYZ to become a customer. It becomes more and increasingly challenging to really track all of that. So if we had a tech solution or some sort of a solution that would allow us to better track the fruit of marketing labors at a tactical level, you know, and give us that magic recipe, definitely wishful thinking, but perhaps, you know, there's something out there that exists.
Okay, cool. Very last question would be, if we do a little bit of time travel and we go back to Arizona State University, a bit of time travel, right? Now you're heading out of formal education into your world of, you know, marketing and digital marketing. What would be the one advice you would give yourself?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely been a rule of progress over perfection. So I guess throughout my career journey, don't get hung up on perfection or polishing a specific project or a specific content piece or an email. I think consistency, staying consistent, really, you know, testing and learning over perfecting is probably the best advice that I would give myself, because it allows us to move faster and fail forward rather than, you know, perfect something and then realize it's not working, but we've invested a ton of money and effort into perfecting something.
Very good. I want to give you the very last, you know, word for the interview, since we're approaching the end of the show. If people would be forgetting all that we discussed about 1build today, what's the one thing they should remember?
One thing they should remember about 1build is that I would say, that's a great question. It's not, I guess it's less about the technology itself. It's more about what that technology does for the customer. In our case, there is a lot more to it than helping our prospect win more bids or win more jobs or become profitable. It's really about helping them grow as an organization, helping them get to that next level and really help them evolve as they're, transforming the construction space, both on the residential and the commercial side.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Platform Presents, Sasha.
Thank you so much.